The other questions is, you provide levels on ETFs and indices. If I trade futures, why should I convert levels and how it works? All right. So very good question. We get that a lot, but it's very important that we go into why this is key, right? So let's look at this slide. So what you see in this slide is really the net gamma exposure chart for three different assets that move in the same direction. We have SPX, the index, SPY, and ES, right? And basically, why are we showing this? Because with MentorQ, you can access data on all three of these assets. Those three have different option chains, so they have different chains. So the option chain that you have on SPX is completely different from SPY and is completely different from ES. Why is that important? Because it can provide you a great insight on what's going on. So the answer is, first of all, let's analyze who is the customer and who is the type of customers that would trade these assets, right? So if we look at SPX options are mostly traded by institutions. There's tax reasons, the sizes, and their settlement reason for it. If we look at SPI options, they're actually a very good instrument for asset managers, retailers, because they offer a lot of liquidity and flexibility, but also think that SPY is also an asset that goes into your 401k. So if you want to get an exposure on the market, you're going to probably buy a SPY ETF and you're going to hold that for a very long time. So the customer that is actually buying or selling this option is way different from who's buying and selling SPX. And then, of course, you have the future. So who actually is trading futures? So we have CTAs that are trading futures. We have retail investors. We have institutions, right? So looking at those three in conjunction is very, very important. And this is kind of like a breakdown. And basically, how can we compare basically those levels across all three and use like this at our advantage, right? So for example, if all three of these assets show a put support at the same level, that's a high conviction area, right? That means that not only we are near a very important gamma levels on SPX, but we are also close to very important gamma levels on ES and SPY. So that's going to be a very strong, a much stronger reaction area than just simply looking at one asset, right? Or, for example, if SPX and SPY are in a positive gamma environment, but ES is showing a negative gamma, we are now into a flow conflict, right? So we are in a zone that, like, hey, two assets are telling me one story, one asset that moves in the same direction is telling me another story. So how can I use this to my advantage, right? And basically, this is why we have all three of those, because you can then convert those into standardized levels, so you can actually trade futures using the full map of dealer positioning in your chart. And again, this is additional data that you can use at your advantage. So let's go back into the indicator now, and let's show you how we can now convert these levels, right? So what can we do within the indicator? So let's go here. So first of all, here I have NVIDIA. Let's go back into my end of day indicator. And let's say that I want to convert SPX to yes, and I want to convert SPY to yes as well. Right. The way you convert the levels, and we're not going to go into details today, but we do have the ability for you to use an automatic ratio or a manual ratio, right? We have videos documentation that shows you how to do that, but for simplicity, let's just use our auto ratio, and then let's go into our yes chart, right? So now we're going to see a lot of levels here, right? So now we have a lot of information there. But why is this important? Because we can now map out important areas coming from SPY, We can map out important areas coming from SPX, and we can map out here important conviction areas coming from both assets, right? So now you have not only the ES levels, but you also have some important areas that basically can tell you where the SPX level are. So now we have, again, we have our HVL 0 ETs level on ES, we have our HVL level on ES, but we also have some very important key areas on SPY. And to the downside, we have our put support here on ES, but we also have areas here that are very important on SPY, right? SPY and SPX. And if we want to bring the levels back, we can bring them here. We can see that, again, if the price was to move to the downside to these areas, we have a very important area coming from SPX and SPY, which is our HVL area. If we're going to the upside, we're going to face up a wall coming from SPX and SPY. So we have our core resistance 0 ETs and our core resistance 0 ETs and HVL, and gamma wall here on SPY as well. So again, having those there can really help you add an additional layer to the picture, right? We can do the same thing on NQ. So if we want, we can add QQQ levels to NQ. And we can add NDX levels to NQ. Okay, very, very simple. It's done with the indicator. Now we can go on our NQ chart, and we can do exactly the same thing. So we can see, and again, there's a lot of data here, but don't be scared about having too much data. What you want to map out is really those important high conviction area that you see here. So again, take a look at where the price stopped in the morning. We stopped at the HVL of QQQ and the HVL 0 ET of NDX, right? Very, very important. To the upside, we have a very strong area right here. And then if we go further up, we also have our 0 ETs levels right there, right? So take out the levels now. And now we can easily trade with a roadmap that is telling me that this area is important, not only because we have our put support coming from NQ, but we also have an important area of conviction coming from both NDX and QQQ. To the downside, this area is going to be very key. We saw it, the price bounced exactly at the QQQ level right there. And if we go to the upside, we need to break through this area first, which is also a high conviction area coming from QQQ and NDX. And then, of course, we have this area all the way at the top, right? So again, in less than 30 seconds, I basically built an idea of where my trading activity can be